do want to mention, in case for those of you who may be here for the FTS International Services request for a conditional use permit at the property at 294 Highway 65 North, that issue is actually not going to be heard and voted on until the November Planning Commission meeting. I believe it's November 21st, because FTC International Services did not fulfill all of the necessary notification requirements to have it discussed and voted on tonight. So again, for any of you who came here for that, my apologies to you, but the requirements just weren't met in time. So that will be taken up at the November meeting. Now, the Conway Planning Commission makes recommendations to the City Council on public hearing items. The City Council will make a final decision on these items using the Planning Commission recommendations as a guide. Items reviewed at tonight's Planning Commission meeting may be considered by the City Council as early as October 25th, 2016. Items not approved by the Planning Commission may be appealed to the City Council within 30 days after Planning Commission denial. If an item is appealed to the City Council, a public notice sign will be placed on the property at least 7 days prior to the City Council meeting. A public notice will be placed on the city's website, www.cityofconway.org. Now, the first thing we need to do is take care of the minutes from the September meeting. I assume you've all received a copy and had a chance to look that over. Are there any corrections or additions that need to be made to the minutes? Okay, do I have a motion to approve them in a second?
I'll make a motion we approve.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion by Jerry and a second by Wendy to approve the minutes as written. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Is anyone opposed? Does anyone abstain? All right, that passes unanimously.
Not that one, that one's good.
Now, the first three items on the agenda tonight are things dealing with subdivisions, and these were discussed at the Planning Commission's subdivision committee meeting between 6 and 7 this evening. That subcommittee is chaired by Marilyn Armstrong. So, Marilyn, I'm going to ask you for your report. Let me just mention the first issue deals with Carmichael Place preliminary subdivision on Salem Road, north of Smoking Oaks Road and south of Tucker Creek. So, Marilyn, what did the subcommittee decide on that?
Okay, Mr. Chairman, the subdivision committee met, and we looked at this variance, a request to put in a cul-de-sac to connect the new subdivision with the Forest Lane, and the committee decided to allow the variance because not doing so would place the owner of the property at an unfair disadvantage because of the way the streets were laid out years ago in the old subdivision. So as not to put her at an unfair advantage, we decided to allow the variance, and the vote was 4-1 in favor.
Do you mean just on point 7?
Just on point 7.
Okay.
Okay.
To allow it not to have to connect to the Forest Lane stub out, to allow it to be a cul-de-sac?
Exactly.
Okay.
And because we allowed that, the developer is going to put in a pedestrian walkway between lots 9 and 10 with a permanent surface for pedestrians.
Okay.
And the committee voted on that, and the vote was 5-0 in favor.
That's point number 8.
That was point number 8. And
Okay.
Number 9, there was a variance request for a reduced radius of 50 feet for the right-of-way, and pending approval by the fire department, the committee voted 5-0 in favor of that request.
Okay.
And for item number 13, a variance request for lots 1 through 5, to be reduced so that some trees won't have to be cut down. These are old trees, and the developer thinks he can save them. So we approved the reduced lot size, 5-0
We
in
did,
favor.
we did add lots 9 and 12 in that section as well.
Okay,
So lots 1 through 5 plus 9 and 12.
okay.
Okay, thank you, Marilyn. Are you finished?
Well, I'm not done.
Okay, I'm sorry. I withdraw my thank you. I'll return it later.
Okay, moving to item 1B. It was a variance request to allow for a reduction in the number of ingress and egress access roads. And the committee voted to approve this pending approval from the fire department. 5-0. And moving on to item 1C. Okay, this was a variance request to omit sidewalks in lieu of payment to the sidewalk fund. And because of the ditches and there not being enough room to actually build the sidewalks there, the committee voted 5-0 to allow this request.
Okay.
And that is all.
Thank you. Are there any questions or for Marilyn and the other members of the subdivision committee regarding any of these three items, Carmichael Place, Salem Woods Phase 2, or the Orchard at Round Mountain, before we vote as a entire commission?
One thing that we did talk about regarding the sidewalks, and our agreement to omit them there, it is true that we can't build sidewalks over the ditches, and it's just unfeasible to build sidewalks in neighborhoods where we have open ditches. It just doesn't work. But one thing we did talk to the developers about was going forward that maybe we can widen the asphalt streets as they are being built to accommodate extra room for pedestrians. So that was something they were open to.
Right.
Just a FYI.
Any other discussion or questions regarding the subdivision committee's report? Okay, this requires just a straight up and down approval or denial or acceptance of the report by the full commission. So I'd like to take a vote separately on each one. So regarding Carmichael Place and the subdivision committee's decisions, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, I'm voting in opposition to that because I disagree with point number 7. So that passes by a vote of 8-1.
Well, excuse me just a moment. Is this just an acceptance of the report or
Right.
an acceptance of each item in the report? Because I voted against the item number 7. It was
We
4-1.
can back up.
I just
and-
needed to
yeah,
understand what we were voting
my
on.
understanding was it would be a vote on everything on 1A. But we can, I'll be happy to back it up and vote and and take a vote on each of the items,
No,
7, 8.
what I was asking was, are we voting on accepting the report from the committee?
Yeah, and approving it, right,
Okay.
right.
and
Approving it.
Okay.
Do you want me to back up and
No.
take it point by point on? Okay, all right,
I don't think that's necessary.
okay. Now, page 10, the preliminary subdivision Salem Woods Phase 2, all in favor of accepting the subdivision committee's recommendations on that, please say aye.
Aye.
Is anyone opposed? Or does anyone abstain? Now, I forgot to ask, does anyone abstain on the first one? I don't think so, okay. And then the one on page 14, the Orchard at Round Mountain, all in favor of accepting the subdivision committee's recommendations on that, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, anyone opposed or any abstentions? All right, those, the Salem Woods Phase 2 passes unanimously, as does the Orchard at Round Mountain variance request. All right, the next item is on page 18 of our material, the Good request to rezone the lots from 1310 to 1450 East Dave Ward Drive from I-3, which is intensive industrial, to C3, which is a commercial zoning, known as Highway Service and Open Display District. Now, before we start on the public hearing part, let me briefly sketch out the ground rules. I'll first ask anyone who's in favor of this request to come and speak. The first speaker will have up to 10 minutes, and any subsequent speakers will have 2 minutes each. Then I'll give an opportunity for anyone who's opposed to it to speak, and the same time limits will apply to the opposition. When you come up, each one who wants to speak, please first give us your name and address for the record, since this is a public hearing. So who would like to start the discussion in favor of this rezoning request? Go ahead. Where you want to? Go ahead, sir.
I'm Grant Good. My address is 115 Applegate Drive in Conway.
Okay.
And I'm speaking for the request. The surrounding properties, of course, the Lewis Ranch property and the other Lewis Crossing property are both Zone C3. Now, this property has currently leased out for 5 years, so there's not anything currently that would be considered for development, but it does give the option at some point to utilize that zoning for some commercial along the front and potentially something else behind, or commercially altogether, depending on what happens with the hospital and the other surrounding properties. Thank you.
Are there any questions from the commissioners for Mr. Good? All right, thank you, sir. Would anyone else like to speak in favor of this rezoning request? Would anyone like to speak in opposition to it? Seeing none, I'll bring it back into committee. What are your thoughts on this rezoning request?
I think it's too early to tell. I mean, it's, like he said, it's 5 years out. We don't have any real concrete plans, no really any further information than, hey, we just kind of want to do it. So I'm, at this point in time, without any further, more specific information, I'm not sure that I'm inclined to accept it.
What about the rest of you? What do you think?
I mean, that area is in a transformation as it is right now, in a massive transformation. Day by day it changes. So I think it would behoove us to let that area play out a little more, or until we have more concrete detail on what the proposed additions are.
Brian, if they get this C3, does that allow them to do anything that fits into that category, I guess, without coming back to us for any type of reason, right?
I mean, C3s are most intensive commercial zones, so they could do, big difference between like C3 and C2. C2 allows you to do strip shopping center or, typical retail type operation, even fast food, I believe, is allowed in C2. But C3 gets you the full thing. You can do Walmart, convenience store, gas pumps, anything automotive related, car body shop, car repairs, car sales, all the automotive things come into play when you go to a C3 as opposed to a C2. So that's the worst case
It's carte
scenario, I guess
blanche.
you could say. It could be like a convenience store or something like that.
Yeah, I kind of like you, I mean, I agree that eventually this is gonna be C3, but I would like to know what kind of C3 we're looking at before, to make sure it kind of goes along with that theme that's over there.
Any other feedback on this?
I mean,
Brian, are we limited to an up and down on the C3, or could we approve a C2?
You can actually, if the applicant would like, I guess you have to have their approval, but you can go from C3, as long as you're the same class of
Commercial versus
zoning,
industrial?
you can slip down to C2, which would be the least commercial zone.
I mean, clearly that part of town is developing. We've got the shopping center directly across. We've got the office buildings just down the street. I would be in favor of going and giving the applicant C2 for now, because I think that's appropriate. And then maybe if they want to come back with a C3, that would allow a Walmart or something to come back and talk to us. But anything to get that from industrial, because I certainly don't want to plant out there. So I would make a motion to approve C2 zoning.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion from Matthew to approve a rezoning from I3 to C2. We got a second from Brian. Before we vote, is there any discussion of the motion? Any questions about the motion? All right, all in favor then of letting this rezoning go through from I3 to C2, please say aye.
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 Is anyone opposed? Are there any abstentions? Okay, that passes unanimously. Justin, you're running out of
I
opportunities.
know, I was that close.
All right.
I tried.
I was with you.
All right. The next item on the agenda is a quality design construction request to rezone property at 1182 Lolly Road from A1, which is an agricultural zoning, to I1, industrial zoning. Who would like to begin the discussion in favor of this rezoning request? Come on up, sir.
My name is Mark Ladd. I'm the owner of the property.
All right.
When I bought the property and it was annexed into the city of Conway, it was taken in as A1. I'm now to the point where I've outgrown my shop and I'm just seeking to expand and get bigger is all.
Are there any questions for Mr.
What's his address?
Oh, what- oh, what? I'm s-
1182 Lolly Road.
Yeah, he lives there.
Oh, you live-
Yeah.
No, I don't
Yeah.
live there.
Or
That's
don't you live right across the street, or?
No, sir.
No, oh, okay. I thought you did, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jerry. Are there any questions for Mr. Ladd?
So you operate your cabinet shop out of there right now,
Yes, sir.
and you're wanting to build
Expand.
a bigger building?
Yes, sir. I do have some preliminary drawings.
How far, oh, you do?
Yes, would you like to see them?
Yes, that'd be great.
Sure.
How far are you from the airport?
About 3 to 4 miles.
Okay. So you're closer to the highway?
Yes, sir. When you turn off of Dave Ford, I'm about a half mile down the road. I'm on the corner of Cooper.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah. Oh, that's a big one. Are you tearing down the?
no. No, would you like me to show you?
I'm not good at looking at footprints.
Would you like me to show you what's existing now?
That would be good.
Is this the? So it's gonna be connected to the existing shop?
That is correct.
Okay, so all
Yes,
that's,
this is existing, and this office space here is existing. I'm looking to add this space and new shop space here.
that's,
This is Lolly Road here,
okay.
out here.
So this is north, this is
That is correct.
south here, okay.
Yeah, and we've set it up to where you can actually pull in with semis here. Go this way and come out.
Very nice. Anybody else?
Anybody else want to see the drawings?
I'm good with it. I'm just saying, I'm good with it.
Are there any other questions for Mr. Ladd? All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Would anyone else like to speak in favor of this rezoning request? Would anyone like to speak against it? Okay, seeing none, I'll bring it back into committee. What are your thoughts on this, commissioners?
Chairman, it seems like it'd be a no-brainer to me, so
Yep.
I'd make a motion to approve.
Okay, we have a motion from Matthew to approve. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
A second from Wendy. Is there any discussion of the motion or questions about it before we vote? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Or any abstentions? That passes unanimously, 9-0. The next item on the agenda is the priest request to amend conditional use permit number 1353, allowing restricted office for private counseling practice for the property located at 1312 Donaghy Avenue. Who would like to begin speaking in favor of this request?
I'm Kenneth Priest. I live at 1135 Spats Circle. I started Christian Perspective Counseling, doing it part-time in around 1992. Worked for the state at the Human Development Center during the day, and wanted to do this as a combination ministry business, part-time. About 5 years ago, my son, who has the same credentials that I do, is a licensed professional, licensed psychological examiner. He started working with me part-time, and we moved the practice to where it is now on Salem Road. And after doing it part-time for a year, he went full-time with it. I'm still doing it part-time in the evenings. And for about a year and a half, he's been as busy as he can be. There's a big demand for what we do. So we're needing to expand to meet the need. And so we're wanting to bring on other therapists, and we need a larger location to do that. This home is a very inviting and warm environment to do counseling. And so we really do like this setting for doing what we do. So we're needing to expand to meet the need that's there. And this looks like a really excellent location to help us expand. We're asking for hours of 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. A lot of people work during the day and they need the evening hours for the counseling. We're asking for up to 6 employees. We expect only 4 of those will be full-time. I don't know, signage, is that something we address now, or is it a separate process?
You can address it now.
Okay.
Okay.
My son actually incorporated Christian Perspective Counseling. I started it back in '92, but he's actually incorporated it, and it's actually going to be his. But he's ill tonight, so he's not here. But he conveyed to me that what he had in mind is a sign no larger than 4 by 4 and located a little toward the street so that people could see it coming down the street, but not to be lighted. Like I said, we would like for the opportunity to meet the need that's there, to be able to expand what we do. We think that'd be an excellent setting to do it, and we don't think it would disturb anybody in that neighborhood to be doing that.
Are there any questions for Mr. Priest from the commissioners?
Yeah. So, thank you. Right now, the approved conditional permit on the residence as it stands has an hour of operations from 7 to 7. You're requesting us to expand that also to 8 to 8, correct?
Well, not so much expand it, just shift it an hour.
Okay. What days of the week? Are you asking for 7 days a week? Because right now it's Monday through Friday as well.
We're typically not open on Saturday. I don't like to do sessions on Saturday, but I would really hate to totally eliminate that in case it's the only time somebody could meet with us. So could we say possibility of 8 to 5 on Saturday, or?
You let us know what you
I mean,
are wanting to request.
I could go for 8 to 5 on Saturday and not any business on Sunday. I'm just trying to think of meeting the needs of the people that come to us
Sure.
in a way that won't encroach on the neighborhood.
Okay.
Are there any other questions for Mr. Priest?
I got one. Sorry, Dylan's here. So, Mr. Priest, you said that there might be up to 6 employees, but all those 6 employees want to be there at the same time, right? That's
Right.
not really how
It would
you
be
guys operate.
really rare for all the 6 to be there at the same time.
Right.
At the outset, there would be me, my son, and we've got 2 people we want to bring in on contract. We also pretty soon want to hire an office manager. So that gets us to 5. Right now, I'm part-time. One of our contract employees is looking at being part-time. And that's just kind of where we are now. In a couple of years, I'll have 28 years in with the state, and my plan is to retire from the state and do what I need to do with my private practice to make the math work. And it looks like maybe about 3/4 time for me would make the math work.
Well, the only reason I asked that is because of the parking for all those cars, for
Right,
all those people.
Right. Yeah, looks like pretty much all the backyard is gravelled for parking, and then there's some parking along the side there.
Yeah.
At the front.
Any other questions for Mr. Priest?
That covered mine.
I was going to ask about the number of employees.
So did that answer
Yes,
your
it
question?
did.
Okay.
Anything else for Mr. Priest? All right, thank you, sir. Would anyone else like to speak in favor of this request? Would anyone like to speak against it? Okay, seeing none, I'll bring it back to the committee. What are your reactions to this?
I think since last year, once we approved this, I think the location has worked well. I think it has served the community well, even though I had reservations for it a year ago. So I think they've gone above and beyond to make sure they met all the standards of the old historic Conway district and all the requirements of putting that backyard into a graveled parking space. They've done a nice job, so I think that continuing it is appropriate.
Anyone else?
The services that Mr. Priest provides is something that is very much needed in this city. Definitely, it's something that's definitely valued and needs more of it. So that's my 2 cents on it.
Thank you, Brooks. Any other comments or questions on this?
I'll make a motion to approve with the 8 to 8 hours, Monday through Saturday.
Okay.
Or 8 to 5 on
And the
Saturday.
approval of the sign. I've got no problem with that.
Can we,
It was 8 to 5 on
8 to
Saturday.
5 on Saturday. Are you gonna
Whatever.
modify?
I mean, if he wants to see
It's like
somebody at
whatever.
6 o'clock at night, I don't care. It's a Saturday. I mean, it's not gonna bother anybody.
can we also put the provision that this business also only carries to these guys as well?
Oh, the conditional use permit?
What do you think, Brian? Brian,
Is
it
it a
should-
conditional use permit now? Is that what we did?
yeah,
Yeah.
it is, yeah.
Well, we have that condition number 3 as we have on,
24.
the regular condition number 3
Yeah.
talks of, limiting it to either Aisha Miller or, John Priest Christian Perspective Counseling, so that
Yeah,
takes care of
we
it.
already have that
Okay.
in place, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
This isn't changing any of the stuff
Okay.
we did before
Okay.
necessarily, other than these.
Right, those are the conditions that were passed before. I mean, so
Okay.
you'd be adding a provision for a freestanding sign, which they didn't have before. It had to be a thing attached to the wall of the house. So, and that would meet the Old Conway standards as far as the 4x4, that fits in their standards, that's okay. Ending the hours, number of employees, modifying who can have.
Oh, I
the
see.
lights there and then
Yeah.
sign.
All those.
All right, we have a motion for Brian to
Well, it was
approve
that
this
or-
amendment to the conditional use permit. Is there a second? We have a second from Delencia. Before we vote, is there any discussion of the motion or questions about the motion?
He did include employees in the
The
motion?
6.
Okay, yes.
So just to clarify, hours of operation Monday through Friday, 8 to 8.
Monday through Saturday.
Monday through Saturday, 8 to 8. And adding total number of employees not to exceed 6. Leaving the conditional use permit limited to Aisha Miller and/or John Priest Christian Perspective Counseling. 4, 5, and 6. Check, check, check.
Right.
Any other discussion or questions about the motion before we vote? Hey, all in favor of granting this amendment to this conditional use permit, please say aye.
All right.
Aye.
Is anyone opposed? Are there any abstentions? That passes 9-0. Now, again, the FTS International Services request has been bumped back to the November meeting. So if you would, Commissioners, skip on over to page 30 in your booklets. We need to briefly discuss interviewing for the 2 positions that are going to have to be filled for 2017. We need to divide up into, or well, as I suggest, we don't have to do it this way, but the way we've been doing it the past few years, and the way I suggested in the last meeting, is to split up into 2 committees of 4 people each, subcommittees to do the interviewing. Brian, about how many applicants have we received? How many applications?
Heard of any others yet? We had one.
Just one?
Email us in late last week. But I haven't heard
Okay. Well, the public has 2 more weeks. So we'll assume, I recall from past years that there tends to sometimes be a flurry of applications will come in at the last minute. So I'll assume we are going to have enough to justify 2 interviewing committees. Would it be all right with you all if, let's say, the 4 of you there form one committee and the 4 of you here be the other one? And you need to pick someone to head up each of these 2 committees to be the coordinator and make sure you've got each other's phone numbers and email addresses. And who would like to be the head up this one over here?
Delencia's.
Delencia, all right?
Volunteer.
Yeah, volunteer. Who would like to volunteer? Okay, Wendy? All right, so, you guys will need to, stay in touch with Brian and Beth and find out how many applications come in, and then schedule a time over there at City Hall where you can interview these people, and you can split up the applications in whatever way you want, and then, when we come back, and the deadline for applying is
31st.
the 31st, and then we've got to complete the interviews and the selections by November 18th. So you got a month and a day you'll have 18, you have to wait until the November 1st actually starts. You'll have 2.5 weeks basically to get the interviews done and come back at the November 21st meeting with your 2 recommendations. I'm not going to involve myself in it since I'm dropping off the commission at the end of this year. Matthew, I'll leave it up to you as to whether or not you want to participate. I'm not going to tell you not to, but, okay, well, Matthew and I are not going to participate in this since that's the tradition too, is the outgoing people don't get involved in selecting people that we're never going to serve with anyway here. So I'll look forward to hearing, what you come up with at the November 21st meeting. And are there any questions about it? Is everybody in agreement with that plan?
Yeah, who's gonna be the chairman after that?
Well, I'll bring
We
that up
decide
at the
that in
next meeting.
December.
Yeah,
I don't know.
yeah, I'm gonna make a proposal at the next meeting on that, but I'll open it up to but we actually don't officially decide that until the final meeting of the year. Yeah. So,
If I'm not here, do not make me the chairman. Sounds like a volunteer.
Snooze you lose, Brian.
all right. Is there any other business the planning commission needs to discuss before we end this meeting?
I'll make a motion to adjourn in the absence of Van.
All right, we got, for the first time in 5 years, we have a motion to adjourn from somebody other than Ann Tucker. All right, is there a second?
Second.
Second from Brian. Okay, all in favor, please say aye.
Yep.
Aye.
I
Aye.
think that's unanimous.
Nay.
Oh, good call. Okay, that passes
Justin.
8-1. 8-1. Thank you.
You can stay here
I was getting worried about you.
Noted, Beth.
All right, 8-1. All right,
Have a good week.
Yeah, you too.
thank you, Justin.
That be noted.
Getting worried about you there.
Co-chair, basically.
Yeah.
Yep.
There may be somebody who wants to volunteer.
I know someone that wants the chairman's position.
Justin wants to volunteer.
Well, we're gonna,
Volunteer to be chair.
I'm actually gonna bring that up in